Okay. Just wait for a minute for everybody to join. Okay. Right. So I'm very happy to take all of your questions. Please feel free to put your questions in the chat box. I see a few people are still connecting to audio. So let's give them that time. Right. Okay, I remember Sai Krishna had a question. Okay. So complete celibacy is not required being in Grahastha life also. Yeah, you had mentioned being a Grahastha, meaning being a person who is married. Even then you can practice the yoga system, which is completely correct. So a person who practices Ashtanga yoga system, okay, the meditative yoga practice, it is one of the niyamas that he abstains from sexual activity. Okay, he remains celibate. So that is for Ashtanga yoga. But in the remaining yoga systems, be it Karma yoga, Jnana yoga, or your Bhakti yoga, it's not required that you remain celibate. So despite being a Grahastha, you can, progress in the yoga practice. So it's definitely possible. Celibacy is not mandatory, right? In other yoga systems. But in Ashtanga yoga or Dhyana yoga, it is. It is a requirement for progress. Okay. I hope that answers your question, Sai Krishna. Right.
Okay. I would like to say something. Can I?
Yes, yes. Please go ahead.
Celibacy means in Grahastha life, celibacy means you cannot, what can be celibate? Because you cannot have union with your wife at any time you want. There is some specific times, specific period, you can have union with your wife. You cannot have sex with your wife during festival time, during puja, evening time, early morning time and all. Then for Grahastha life, this is called celibacy.
Okay, so thank you for that point. So yes, so there is regulations, there's prescribed regulations, okay, even in Grahastha life, when you follow other practices, okay, even in Bhakti Yoga, there is some regulated way in which you know, your activities are performed, including sexual activities. So complete celibacy is not required, but activities are regulated in all senses, be it your eating practice, be it the sleep cycle, be it, you know, sexual life. So everything has to be regulated, and there are prescribed rules here as well. But complete celibacy is not required. Right. Thank you. Radha Mataji, thank you. Yeah. Yes, do we have other questions? Because today's topic is very interesting, isn't it? How to control the mind. Something in the chat box. Right. Any other questions? You all can also, if you feel like unmuting and asking your questions, I'm open to that. If you'd like to switch on your videos, I'll be happy. I can see you and see what you feel about the responses that you're getting. Right. No other questions? Okay, then we'll go for the live quiz. Okay, it's time for the live quiz then. Right. So if everyone can please get to the chat box, and I will give you the question for you to answer. Okay, and the fastest person who answers will be announced on the group tonight, and after the end of the course, see who has been giving the fastest answers, and we have a special gift for this person. Right. Are all of you ready for the live quiz? Can you give me a yes in the chat box, please? Sai Krishna says yes. Okay. Okay. Okay, perfect. Right. I'm going to ask a little difficult questions today. Okay. Just a brief. The first question for you is, what is the third limb of the Ashtanga Yoga system? What is the third step in the Ashtanga Yoga system? There are 8 steps. Okay, wonderful. I'm getting some good answers in the chat box. I'll advise all of you to try because you never know. You might be the fastest one. Okay, okay. Right, interesting. Give another 5 seconds for further, people who have not answered to answer this question. Okay, you can look at the chat box and still answer. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, great, amazing. Most of you have got it right, which is amazing. All right, the second question. In which shloka of the 6th chapter does Arjuna says that controlling the mind is like controlling the wind? It's as difficult. Excellent. Getting very good answers in the chat box. Okay. Right. Yes, all of you can also answer remaining people who haven't answered this. Very nice. A lot of people are giving correct answers, which is amazing. Wonderful. Okay, so most of you have got it right. Amazing. Another 5 seconds for the remaining people to answer. The countdown of 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, we're done. Okay, the last question. Among all yoga systems, which is considered to be the topmost? Among all yoga systems, which is considered to be the topmost? Okay. Amazing. Right. Okay. So this, I'm getting unanimous answers. I'm very impressed. Amazing. The other people who have not answered, if you can quickly answer this question. Which is the topmost among all yoga systems? The countdown of 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, perfect. You all have answered this amazingly well, today's quiz. Most of you have gotten right answers. So I will announce the winner by 10:30 p.m. tonight on our WhatsApp group. Okay. I think we have 2 winners today as well. So I'll go through that. Okay, Harsha has a question. What I am wondering is, if Lord Krishna promises that spiritual knowledge is passed to the next life, then how does the cycle break for those who are reborn as animals from humans? Okay, right. So what Harsha is asking is, she's wondering, see, Lord Krishna promises that spiritual knowledge is passed on to the next life. Now, what happens to those who are born as animals rather than humans in their next life? Okay, there is a beautiful story. Okay, I'd like to tell this story to you. Okay, there was a person called Jada Bharata. Okay, Jada Bharata, who used to live in an ashram, and he extreme penance, extremely spiritually advanced. Okay, he used to perform extreme strict penance in the forest in his ashram. Okay, and he was very close to attaining samadhi or attaining liberation. But while he was in his ashrama, one day he saw a fawn who was lost, who was orphaned. Okay, his mother, the baby deer or fawn, he was orphaned and he was crying for help. So it was right outside Jada Bharata's ashram. So Jada Bharata saw this poor fawn and decided to take him and raise him. Okay, and with all love, with all care that he could give, he started raising this fawn. He was very advanced. He had complete control over his mind and senses and everything. All right, Jada Bharata was very advanced. But what happened, as he was raising this fawn, he started developing an attachment towards this fawn, and all he could think of all day was this fawn. Is the fawn hungry? Is the fawn all right? Has the fawn, been in a safe place in the forest? All that he could think of was this little fawn and its well-being. Okay, eventually it grew into a beautiful deer, and it stayed with this Jadabharata. And then he was now very old. So he was on his deathbed. Even on his deathbed, all he could think of was this deer, right? As a result, he ended up being born as a deer in his next birth, because he kept thinking of this deer on his deathbed also during the time of death. In the 8th chapter, we'll see that, our death is like an exam, and what we think at the time of death determines what kind of life, what kind of life form, what kind of body we get in the next lifetime. Okay, so it might seem confusing at this point, but it is in the 8th chapter. I mean, by that time we'll understand it better. So this is what is said. So Jadabharata, despite being very spiritually advanced, because at the time of death, instead of thinking about God and getting back to our original home, back to Godhead, he was thinking about this deer. He ended up getting the body of a deer. But because he was very spiritually advanced, even in the body of the deer, was able to remember all the spiritual progress that he had done in the previous life. Okay, and even in that body, he continued to, pray to God, even in a deer's body, and eventually he was liberated, right? So this assurance even continues for those souls who have progressed enough in the spiritual path, that progress even continues if they are in the animal body as well. You would have heard about Gajendra Moksha, the story of the elephant who was liberated by Lord Vishnu, right? So these are all proofs that even in the animal, if we get an animal body by chance, if we fall to that evolutionary level, even then God assures us of help, right? And that spiritual knowledge will still continue, right? Okay. Okay, wonderful, Sai Krishna. Thank you for the feedback, Nisha and Sai Krishna. It's amazing. Join us whenever possible, and we will be sharing the recordings. So if you're unable to join by any chance, you are most welcome to look at those recordings. But please attempt the quizzes. I really want you all getting those certificates. We're planning a ceremony for you all where we give away the certificates in person and online also for people who are not able to make it in person. But we'd like to see you all in person and give away certificates. So please make sure you attempt all the quizzes for the 18 chapters. Right. Prashant has another question. Are Ashtanga yoga steps necessarily sequential or hierarchical? Okay. I mean, as it is a personal journey, different individuals may progress through them in different ways and at different speeds. Yes. Prashant, yes. The Ashtanga yoga steps, you cannot surpass a step. You cannot surpass asana and directly go off to samadhi. Okay. So it is like schooling. Okay, you have to complete first grade, then you reach second grade, third grade. So it goes on like that. Okay, you can't essentially skip. But like you said, it's an individual journey, and people progress through these steps in their own pace, right? And it also depends. Some people you may feel are very advanced; they're easily able to, sit in a posture for several hours. They have good control over their breath, pranayam. Why? Because they have been doing this sadhana from previous lives, and that knowledge comes back to them. So you don't start back in square one. If you have done till step 10 in your last lifetime, you can continue from step 11 in this lifetime, right? So that's a feature of eternal knowledge. That's a feature of yoga sadhana, right? But you can't skip steps. Ashtanga yoga steps, you have to go through each and every step, and only then we get to the point of samadhi, right? Does that answer your question, Prashant?
I didn't mean skipping the steps. I mean maybe you do for asana first, then you get comfortable in practicing your breath, then you go for pranayama. While maybe someone is they prefer to start with meditation before working on the other steps. So that's what I meant. Like doing one step before the other one, like changing the order, not skipping.
Not skipping, changing the order. Changing the order is not recommended. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Without yama, without following the yamas and niyamas, it's very difficult to get to the stage of dhyana, okay, where you become very focused and meditative. Without following the prescribed rules, it's not, you cannot reach the true dhyana level. So you have to follow that step hierarchy that's given in Ashtanga Yoga. Yeah. Does the Bhagavad Gita state when the world will end? When the world will end is stated in a larger, the biggest of the, one of the biggest scriptures that we have. It is called the Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, I don't know if you have heard of it. It's one of the biggest Puranas. Okay, called the Bhagavata Mahapurana. There is complete description of the creation, destruction, maintenance of the world, how many universes are there, what are the different Vedic cosmological structures in our Vedic system. The theory of relativity, time, space and time, all these descriptions have been there from several thousand years, much before we discovered it. Much before Einstein spoke about theory of relativity, there are several descriptions of people traveling to other planets and seeing a time difference. So experiencing a time difference. So all these descriptions, if you are really interested, are there in the Srimad Bhagavata Mahapurana. You can read that. And after this course, I will be open to further discussions, detailed discussions of other Puranas and the Bhagavad Gita itself. So interested people, we will progress towards an advanced course and you can all join there and we can have amazing discussions about these things. Right, Harsha? So there we will see when the world ends. It's a cyclical process. Creation, destruction is a cyclical process. The world ends and it's created again. With each breath of Mahavishnu, it is described in the Bhagavata Mahapurana that as Mahavishnu inhales, everything is annihilated. This whole series of universes is annihilated in that moment. And the moment he breathes out, it is created. It might seem absurd, but this is due to the relativity and time difference to where Mahavishnu is there and where we are. Okay, right. Sai Krishna says, as you mentioned, it takes lifetimes to reach the ultimate, but sometimes even a single sense of gratitude, just one moment of being one, isn't it enough to recite? Absolutely. Absolutely. But for us to get that one single moment, we need lifetimes of practice. That one single moment of union with God, that one single moment of gratitude, that it takes only, in one of the lectures of our founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, somebody asked him, how long does it take to be liberated? Okay, somebody asked him this question that you've just mentioned. So what he said, I'd like to repeat here. So the answer that he gave was just a moment. 1 minute or just a moment is what it takes. That is the time that it takes. But for us to reach that point where we are completely absorbed in that one moment, where we are completely absorbed in the thoughts of God, in the gratitude towards God, and we completely surrender ourselves, saying, God, this life is given by you. We thank you for this. And, in this lifetime and beyond, we are here to take your instructions and serve you. For us to reach that attitude, for us to reach that kind of focus, it takes just one moment to surrender. But for us to reach that point, it takes lifetimes of practice. Okay. That is why it is recommended that we have a spiritual master who guides us, a bona fide spiritual master who has come in disciplic succession. It's very important to have the spiritual master, as he's the representative of God. And under his guidance and under his mercy and blessings, it becomes very easy for us to progress, right? It is like, you're in a new place and without you traveling, without somebody's help or navigation, and you traveling with navigation or with someone's help, right? It makes a huge difference. And that is how having a guru makes a difference. Right? So that is the importance of having a guru. Along with our own practice, our own sadhana, it's very important that we're guided by someone who is bona fide and who has the experience himself. He can guide us further. He or she can guide us further, right? Okay. I hope that answers your questions. Prashant is asking, is the Kali Yuga really 4,32,000 years long, as some sources suggest? Yes, it is described in the Bhagavad Mahapurana that the Kali Yuga is in human years calculation. Okay, it is 4,32,000 years long. And this is the shortest among all the Chatur Yugas. Okay, we have 4 Yugas. Satya Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Treta Yuga, and Kali Yuga, right? So among all these, Kali Yuga is the shortest. Okay, so double the time period of Kali Yuga is Treta Yuga. Double that of Treta Yuga is Dwapara, and double that of Dwapara is Satya Yuga. Okay, so the longest is Satya Yuga, shortest is Kali Yuga. Yeah. Sai Krishna has another question. Does one need a guru? And few says guru finds us at a point, or we need to look for a guru. Yes. First question, does one need a guru? Definitely. Definitely. You're in a new terrain and you try to figure out things for yourself. You finding your destination, the chances are poor, right? It's very difficult. It might take you very long. So it is definitely recommended in all our scriptures that we take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, a guru, and work under his guidance, right? And few says guru finds us at a point. Or do we need to look for a guru? So we need to keep striving to find this guru, okay? We need to keep striving. We need to have a strong desire that we need guidance. We need to pray for this. We can pray to Lord Krishna that, oh Lord, I want to reach you and I need your mercy. Please come and guide me in the form of a guru so that I can reach you as soon as I can, isn't it? So we need to pray for this. We need to desire and strive for finding a guru. And only then will the guru himself find us. So we need to desire first and strive towards it. And there are a lot of fake gurus these days. So we need to be very careful. We need to use our intelligence and see if this particular guru is coming in a proper disciplic succession or not, right? And all of these gurus who are coming in a disciplic succession, they carry the actual message that Lord Shri Krishna has given. People who are self-proclaimed gurus, please be careful about these kind of people. Self-proclaimed gurus, anyone can suddenly come and say that I'm a guru or I'm God. But where is the proof? People who say that they're incarnations of God, first you have to ask, where is the proof? Because all of these incarnations have already been described in the first canto, 4th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavata Mahapurana. So can they prove? Has it already been prophesied in the Shastras? Only then can someone claim themselves to be God. Right? If not, it's a fake proposition. So we need to use our intelligence and our evidence to decide who is a true guru and who is not. Right? Hope that helps. Any other questions? I don't see anything in the chat box right now. Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Does anybody want to unmute and ask any question? Are we here to live or to attain samadhi? So in the Bhagavad Gita 8th chapter, it is this place that we are living in currently is described as Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam. We are bound to have miseries, okay, in this planet. And this is not where we belong. Okay. So our true goal is to go back to where we came from. Okay. It is said that we all actually belong in the spiritual universe. This is the material universe, or Bhautik Jagat. We all belong to the Adhyatmic Jagat, where there is these kind of temporary happiness, distress cycles. Temporary emotions do not exist there. So we actually belong there. So what is the goal of this human life? What is the purpose of this human life? We have forgotten our true home. Okay, we are here, but the little bit of happiness that we get, we believe that this is true happiness, and we strive for this temporary happiness. We have forgotten our true positions. So the actual purpose of human life is to understand that we have forgotten this, and we have to reestablish our relationship with God. We have forgotten our true relationship with God. We have come from a place where God and us, we all live together. Okay, we have forgotten this. And the purpose of human life is to reestablish this connection, this friendship, this unconditional love with God, and go back to Godhead, go back to our real home. Okay. I mean, we got this opportunity to be a human. Being human is wonderful. We might have done so many great things in past to be a human. So now after being a human, we are busy in finding the purpose and reaching it. Maybe moksha or something. Yes. The fact that we have gotten a human life is so that we strive towards going back to our original home, back to Godhead, where we can live in association with God. God is not like an idol. God is not some non-living entity. God is not light. God is a person. How can such a beautiful creation be there without an intelligent person behind it, right? So God is a personality and he has his own home, his own abode. That is where we have come from. So we have to strive to go back to him. If we have forgotten our relationship with God, we have to reestablish that first, develop this unconditional devotional love and service, and we can then go back. If the world will never stop existing, then how do we reach heaven or hell? Okay, the world will never stop existing. That's not the case. Yes, within the material universe, everyone that is there in the material universe is bound by the cycle of birth and death. Okay, in the spiritual universe, there is no concept of birth and death. Once you reach there, you do not fall down back into this material universe where you experience birth, death, old age, disease, and these kind of changes. So do we really have heaven and hell? There is description in the Shastras, yes. Within the material universe, it is believed that there are 7 planets above the Bhuloka. This planet is called Bhuloka where we live, okay? People who have heard the Gayatri mantra, Om Bhur Bhuvasvaha Tat Saviturvarenyam. So this is description of the planets above the Bhuloka, okay? There is Bhuloka, Bhuvarloka, Swarloka, Maharloka, Tapaloka, Brahmaloka. 7 lokas above us. And there are 7 lokas called Patala lokas below us, which are described to be hells. Okay. Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Rasatala, Patala. 7 lokas below the Bhuloka, below this earthly plane. So living entities who perform sinful reactions go to the lower planetary systems. Who have performed good deeds go to the upper planetary systems called, one of them is Swargaloka, where some of the Devatas live, demigods live. Okay, so you get a chance to live with them. But all of the people, including demigods, okay, including people in Patala, Swargaloka, Brahmaloka, including Lord Brahma, all of us have to face birth and death. Okay, Brahma also has a lifetime, okay, of 100 years, not in the human years. Those 100 years are equivalent to several human years. I'm not exactly aware of the number. Okay. But he has a lifetime of 100 years. And then he also, the Brahma is like a position. He also gets replaced. Somebody else gets elected as Brahma. So that's how it is. Anybody who is in the material universe has to experience birth and death. So we have to strive towards crossing this material universe and going to the spiritual abode where God himself lives. What about Lord Shiva? Lord Shiva is very interesting because Kumarji has asked this question. Lord Shiva is described as the greatest devotee of Vishnu, greatest among the Vaishnavas, greatest devotees of Vishnu, greatest devotees of Lord Krishna is Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva has been given the duty to guide all these souls. Some of us, in some of the yoga systems, light, God is described to be light. Okay. So what essentially it is, so God lives in the spiritual planets. So the spiritual planets are self-effulgent. They're described to be, they do not need an external light source. They're self-effulgent. Okay. There is no sunrise, sunset. They don't need a sun. They are self-effulgent. So those planets have their light that comes off. So many Jivatmas, they reach up till the exterior part of the spiritual universe, okay? and they reach the light and they think that they have attained God already, because in their yoga system it is being taught that God is light. So for such kind of jivatmas who are stuck between the material and spiritual planes, Lord Shiva has been given the duty to get them and take them above to God's abode, to the spiritual plane. So Lord Shiva is not bound by birth and death. Right. I hope that answers Kumarji's question. So we've had a very interesting conversation today, and I've gotten into Bhagavatam. Very glad. Right. Perfect. So this is very interesting Vedic cosmology. I'll see if we can have sessions on Vedic cosmology, but it is all described in the Srimad Bhagavata Mahapurana. And we have published books. If anybody is interested to read, please reach out to me, and we'll plan to have sessions on reading. But it is recommended that we first read the Bhagavad Gita in detail before, you start endeavoring to read the Srimad Bhagavatam, because it is a little advanced level of understanding. So it's recommended to read the Bhagavad Gita before. Okay. One last question. Who is Adi Parashakti? How does the Bhagavatam relate to Mahabharata? Okay, right. Who is Adi Parashakti? This is a very advanced question, Prashant. We can have a one-on-one discussion on this. Okay. So you will have to start reading Bhagavatam to get an answer to this question. So, right. Kumarji, how does Bhagavatam relate to Mahabharata? So Bhagavata is a Mahapurana where the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, Lord Shri Krishna, have been described in great detail. Okay. And Lord Shri Krishna had given his instructions to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita within the Mahabharata. So that is how it relates, basically. It's like reading the Bhagavad Gita is like attending a lecture for a few hours where you listen what Lord Shri Krishna has told to Arjuna. Okay. Reading the Mahabharata is knowing the whole story about what is happening. But reading the Bhagavata Mahapurana is like personally knowing God. Okay. Personally knowing Lord Krishna and his pastimes. What is his daily routine? What are his pastimes? Who are his friends? Who have been bothersome? So how does he generate the universe? How did he create? How does he annihilate? So if you completely want to know who God is, what are his activities and pastimes, that is what is Srimad Bhagavata Mahapurana or Bhagavatam, right? So Bhagavad Gita is what he has told, but Bhagavatam is knowing him personally, right? I hope, and that is how it relates to the Mahabharata. I hope that answers your question. Yeah, right. Okay, Prashant, because you asked what is Adi Parashakti, I want you to research about, there are two types of energies that God has, Para and Apara. So if you first read about that, you might then come to know what is Adi Parashakti. This is just for Prashant. Okay. Right. I hope that answered all your questions. It was a very interesting discussion today. Thank you all for joining. A lot of students have not been able to join because they're having there are undergraduate medical students, they're having their exams currently. So hopefully they'll be able to join us later on this month. Yes, Pranav, you have a question. We have 5 minutes more, so I can take your question quickly. What are the niyamas of Bhakti Yoga? Okay. Niyamas of Bhakti Yoga are 4 rules. Okay, there are 4 regulative principles. Very interesting questions. Any guesses? Does anybody have guesses? What should be these 4 regulative principles? 4 regulative principles in Bhakti Yoga. Has anybody heard of it? So Pranav, let this be a homework for you, because Bhakti Yoga will be dealing with it in the further chapters. So I don't want to give it off at this point in time. Control over food, sleep, and compulsions. Yes, that's one. So one of control over food, one is no meat eating. Okay. In Bhakti Yoga, one of the rules is no meat eating. We have to eat sattvic food. We will see what sattvic food means. Okay. We'll deal with this in the further chapters. No oversleeping. Yes. No illicit sex. Okay. Out of your marriage, no sex. That is one of the rules. No gambling is one of the rules. Okay. There are 4 regulative principles. I want Pranav to find out, and I'll ask you in the next class. All right. It's a very good question. Right. We have answered most of it, but you can go find out and let me know. All right. 4 regulative principles in Bhakti Yoga. All right. Fine. So we'll wrap up at this point in time. Okay. What Prashant has written. Kirtanam, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam. Yes, this is our 9 types of Bhakti Yoga, 9 ways of expressing your love and devotion to God. So, Navavidha Bhakti, this is called. Okay, this is too advanced for others, so let's not get into it. Thank you all for the wonderful association that I've had today. Very grateful. I request, please accept my humble obeisances. Okay. I request for all of your prayers and blessings. And I also am praying that all of you may progress in bhakti and get the grace of Lord Krishna, Radharani, and the Guru Parampara. Right. And I would like to end with a prayer. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. And I request you all to please chant this Maha Mantra with me. If you're comfortable, please unmute yourself and chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Okay. And we put our hands up like this to indicate our surrender. Okay. So please join me. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you so much. We'll meet in the next session on Wednesday. Okay. Hare Krishna.